Hello everybody, this is Sean Badavi here with realbees.com, and I've got a special guest with us today. His name is Bob Sink. Bob is a co-owner of Broadview Realty and the leader of the Bob Sink Group, a real estate services team based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He was a high-altitude mountain guide, having led more than 100 climbing mountaineering trips to the summits of mountains throughout the world. Bob has significant experience as an entrepreneur and small business owner. He is a nationally known speaker and real estate coach. Bob Sink has a passion for real estate, the same passion he had for climbing the world's highest mountains. Bob's coaching philosophies are identical to those that drove him to the tops of the highest mountains in the world, focusing on mastering the basics, learning through self-discipline, practice and repetition, train and gain endurance through small steps that continually enhance performance. Woo! I got a real live mountaineer on the call today. What's up, Bob?
Hey, not much, Sean. Not much.
Yeah, so now it's funny because you have, I think that's really cool. I've never really interviewed somebody who's climbed to the tops of the mountains. You know, I've got some family members that are actually mountaineers and stuff, and this takes, I know it's like, this is not like a hobby type deal. This is a lifestyle.
No, that's what I did for a living, Sean.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you've taken the same principles that it took for you to get successful in getting to the top of the mountain, and you've taken that into your real estate business. So just do me a real quick favor. I know I read a little bio. Just tell me about that transition from mountaineering into real estate and a business as an entrepreneur, how that's helped you and how those principles can help people, other real estate agents out there that are watching this today.
Yeah, I think that's a great question, by the way. Mountaineering is very much about being prepared, right? You have to be prepared. Because what happens if you're not? You end up dying, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's the reality. That's, if I would fix anything in real estate, it would be if you make a mistake, bang, you're dead, and there'd be less mistakes made. So what I learned through mountaineering was how to prepare, how to foresee any problems that might arise, and make sure that you go around those crevasses in the business, right? Mm-hmm. Stay away from the avalanches, the dangers, and so forth. That I would experience in the mountains. That was through preparation and through training, constant training. So I really believe in that you constantly train, that I had to, right, like I had to do in climbing a mountain. You do the same thing for real estate. And when you come to a cliff or a very difficult ice wall, and if you can't make it this trip, you come back down, you practice, you train, you develop the skills, right, and the tools in order to, when you get back up to that place again, you can get past that obstacle, right? So that's how I kind of transitioned my climbing experience, the thoughts, and how, I don't know, you have to be really dedicated, right? Because your life is always on the line. And I took that dedication and just transferred it into real estate. I literally would treat each transaction, each opportunity, each appointment as if my life was on the line. Mm-hmm. And when you have that kind of motivation, if you know that feeling, if you have that tugging at your heart and that worry, then you're going to do amazing things. And I was able to transition that into real estate and then take it off from there.
Man, I love that. I love what you said about taking each transaction, each little thing as your life was on the line. I think as today in business, that what we do is we get caught in process, and it's like we forget about the bigger picture, right? And so we're so focused on, the little problems here about whatever's going on in a transaction, or, people not calling you back, or what I call commission breath, just like beating down that one client or that one customer to death you're trying to get, sold a home, that you don't look at your business overall in the big picture. So I know we did this webinar a few weeks ago, and we got such a great response from it. And I remember one of the things that you were talking about was, here we've got this big insurmountable task in front of us, right? And that's really life. And we get so caught up in little things that we take our eye off the goal. And I love what you were saying about that. So I want to do this. We really are into like making sure that we equip agents here at realbees.com. We really want to equip And I love that word equip because now we're talking about,
Yeah,
equipping
exactly.
them for success, right? So
Yeah.
I know you have got this really cool process. You call it the 5 power systems, and you've got a
Yeah.
lot of really cool stuff. You've got an amazing coaching company. You coach hundreds, if not thousands, of agents all over the U.S. and Canada. And so I really want to like dive down. Let's get real personable now. Let's really
Okay.
look at the agent that's watching this today, and let's give them some tools.
Sure. Sure.
I want to break down this 5 power systems, and then we're going to talk about a special thing that you and I are going to be doing together toward the end. So
Okay.
here I am. I'm looking at my real estate business. I'm this agent. I'm looking at my business. Whether I've been in business a long time, it doesn't matter, or whether I'm just starting. And let's peel back the onion.
Yeah. Sure.
What am I supposed to do to be successful?
That's a great. Well, to me, it's repetition, right? It's planning, it's that training, and so forth. Look at the business. What is it that you want out of the business, and then work your way backwards. So, like on a mountain, that would be making it to the summit, but also coming back alive. That's the most important thing, right? Just making it to the summit doesn't mean much. You've got to make it back alive. So, getting to closing or getting a deal under agreement is kind of the summit, but it really doesn't matter if you don't get paid, right? So if you don't get that money. So that's how I kind of looked at the business with the 5 power system. So very first thing is I would tell, somebody new is, what are you doing about generation, right? Prospect generation. How are you generating more business? And I think a lot of agents start out looking at it by spending money, right? Image advertising and everything else, when there's so much right in front of us. There's so much business right there for free that if you're not making a lot of money, if you're not doing well, then how are you spending money? And see, agents get caught in that catch-22, right? They start spending money. Yeah. So I look at prospect generation, where can I get business for free? And so I started looking at for sale by owners. Wow, these are sellers with their hands up really high saying, I'm trying to sell my house. And then I look at, when I'm looking at the for sale by owners, I look at, okay, what are my peers, what are the competitors doing with those people, right? Because if I want their results, then I'll do the same thing. But if I want different results, I'll do something different. So my competitors are doing what with those for sale by owners? They're calling them saying, you should list with me, Sean, right? I'm the very best. I'm number one. I do this, this, and this. For sale by owners already made the decision, what? They don't want to work with an agent. So instead of going in with the mindset, I want to list your home, I went into the mindset with, I want to sell your home. I want to help you sell your home. I have buyers and so forth, and I want to show them your home and sell it. And they'll oftentimes say, yeah, I'm not going to list. No problem. I don't want to list your home. I want to sell your home. I want to bring you buyers. Are you interested? You see how that's a different mindset? That's kind of a shift.
Yeah.
And that's free business right there. And then you take it, for sale by owners are the harder of the two. Then you take that same messaging to expireds. Let's face it, they already said previously, right, that, hey, I'm ready. I'm going to work with a real estate agent. And then for one reason or another, they fell into the crap. They got to that cliff, right, to that ice wall, and they weren't able to get past it, right? And their guide, the agent, wasn't able to maneuver them through that, correct?
Yeah.
So now I'm a new guide saying, hey, let's look at it differently, and I don't want to list your home. I just want to sell it. Do you see how that kind of messaging? So that's free business. That's prospect generation right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I always tell people, the way you get better at anything is through repetition, correct? Through practice. So I make sure that, through that prospect generation, that first step of those 5 power systems, that prospect generation, I also show everybody, my peers, the co-brokes, buyers, sellers, investors, family members, what I'm doing. I show them my presentation because then they become lead magnets. And all the time, what am I spending? Nothing. My time, I have to have some materials and so forth, but I'm not buying leads and leads and leads. Somebody just going on the internet, not only filling out my information, but 10 other agents' information. So, and then I build up that loyalty and so forth. And so prospect generation is where it all starts. This whole business is lead generation, lead conversion, and lead follow-up. So very few have a difficulty with getting any kind of leads. Generation's the easiest part. Conversion, it gets a little harder, and then follow-up next it's next to impossible for most agents. Very few do a good job. So I'm going to start always at the base of the mountain. I'm prepared, right? I want to get that generation going. I want to get everything ready. And then I go right into conversion. How am I going to convert them? So what's my message?
But before you go any further, I wanted to, I don't know, this is just on my heart right now for some reason. I was thinking about what you're saying about prospecting, and I recently did a survey to my database, and the number one thing that agents need help with is marketing. They say they need help with marketing, lead generation, prospecting, all of those things that go along with just getting more qualified leads. And I guess my question is twofold. Number one, why is it so hard for agents to master this? Number one, when there's so many different systems out there for them to get and to just, that's my first question.
That's a good question,
because you're in the trenches. So I'm gonna do twofold question. That just hold on to that first part. Because you're a coach and you're listening to people on a daily basis talk about this. And when I was with a coaching organization doing some consulting for them, this was the number one thing as well. And now in RealBees, this is the number one thing. Like, what in the world's going on? So that's the first question. The second part isn't it really a mindset issue? Isn't it really, I mean, because you're talking about scaling the mountain of success. I think a lot of times we have lost before we even start the process. We're looking at the mountain or whatever the task is, or the list of people, even our sphere of influence. People are scared of the word no. They're scared to even call their friends and family and say, it's like they're embarrassed to say you're a realtor.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, for some reason, I just feel like it's on my heart right now. Like 2015 is around the corner, and if you don't value what you do as an individual, as a solopreneur, as an entrepreneur, then get out of the business.
Yeah.
You have to have a mindset. If you're going to scale the mountain, you got to say in your head, I'm going to get this work going on. So twofold question: why is it so hard? And how can they change their mindset, get their mind right? Because you had to do this.
Yeah.
Right? You had to do this personally in your business. I'm just
I've
trying
had to do it multiple times.
Yeah, I'm trying to dig deep here. I want to get deep and I want to really knock some people out today.
Yeah, sure. Sounds good. Well, like I said, I had to do it twice. I'm afraid of heights. So I've climbed, most of the highest mountains in the world, but I'm yet afraid of heights. So it is really mindset. You can do anything that you put your mind to. And I think that's an advantage for me too, than getting into a second career like real estate. I didn't have any preconceived notions or whatever, that, I can't do this. I already climbed mountains for a living. I knew I could do anything, right? So how do people get out of that mindset? I think that's the $1 million question. To me, it's just make up your mind that you're going to. Make up your mind that you're just going to change what you've been doing. Just give it up. And then just focus on just a few things. See, I think in real estate, I don't think, I know, in real estate, we have a lot of distractions, right? And a lot of agents are squirrel chasers. You know this, right? Mm-hmm. Squirrel, something new or whatever. They're jumping all around. And I'll give you an idea. With climbing mountains, people would think, wow, it's amazing. You must know hundreds, if not thousands of knots. I knew four knots, but I knew them better than almost anybody else in the world.
Yeah.
Right? I could tie them in the dark. I could tie them with my hands behind my back. I could tie them with my teeth. When it really mattered, I could do those things. So it's not only that mindset, but then it's that focus that you need to do the same things over and over again to get the kind of results that you wanted.
Yeah.
And agents are too scattered, and they don't give it enough time, in my opinion, to really work on it.
Yeah.
They get frustrated so easily that I knew that, for me to make a summit was going to take a lot of time, a lot of preparation, and there was a good chance, Sean, I wasn't going to make it, right? That's fair. Mm-hmm. Well, that didn't mean I was a failure. It's right, like when I call somebody and they say no, well, that's okay. Usually I know mentally it takes 6, 8, sometimes 10 no's to get to a yes.
Yeah.
So that's just no to my presentation right now. Maybe I need to go back, right? And make a better presentation. Maybe I need to practice my objection handling skills, right? So I can get past those no's. See, I didn't see no as I'm a failure. Or like I didn't see making to the summit that I'm a failure, that I'm not a good climber. I just said, well, I have to get better. Or conditions need to be better, right? Because there are some things somebody says no, it's just because the time and the conditions aren't great for them, right? Or your message doesn't match what they need.
Yeah.
So I would always look at it as a challenge. So mindset, you're absolutely right. And why agents have a difficult time with that, I have no idea.
You know what? One of the things that I think, in just in my career, it's a lack of passion. It's a lack of purpose.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah.
You got to know that number one, that God has a plan for your life, and it's to prosper you. It's to make you better. It's to make you a successful person. Yeah. That's the first and foremost thing.
That is in my life too.
Yeah, and secondly, that your purpose is not to sell houses. It's to impact the lives of the people that you're working with.
Yeah.
And when you get that, when you understand that, I mean, I would imagine climbing the mountain is not about the mountain. It's about overcoming adversity. It's about the victory. You know, it's not about, whatever mountain it is. It's that's irrelevant. It's just so I'm just paraphrasing. I'm thinking about what you would think about. So let me ask you this: why is it so hard for agents to get this marketing thing down?
I don't know. You tell me. I mean, that's what shocks me. I was a new agent, and my first year I'm number 2 in the entire company. My second year I'm number 1. To me, it was easy. To me, it was, I saw all this business around me, and I was like, hey, why don't I just go and talk to people?
Right.
Why don't I just, do things differently than everybody else? Why don't I break those barriers? Well, what are some of the problems with people hiring an agent? Poor communication. Oh, hey, why don't I just do better communication than everybody else?
Yeah.
There's a new one. The other one was long drawn out contract. Okay, I'm just going to make my contract one day. Everybody told me, you're crazy. That'll never work. Everybody's going to take advantage of you. And see, Sean, I think for the most part, people are good. I believe that people aren't out there looking to do bad to another person. I know there's anomalies out there, but when I started doing that, I can remember like it was yesterday, everybody told me you're crazy, people are going to take advantage of you, they're going to fire you all the time, they're going to steal your commission. Still hasn't happened. 8 years later, it still hasn't happened. But I've done quite well. So I looked at the business as, what can I do differently so I could get different results? Because let's face it, most of the agents are trapped, like you said. They had their head down. They're saying, what do I do each day?
Yeah.
Rather than just saying, okay, I'm going to try something. It's fear, I think. It's fear. Why do most people not climb? It's fear. It's fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
And it's also fear of success. A lot of agents I talk to are afraid to be successful.
Yeah, they can't picture themselves being successful. So I think that's a good thing. I mean, if I can boil it down to why can we not figure out this marketing business, it's because it's a lack of passion, it's a lack of commitment, and it's a whole lot of fear. Because I always say, it's kind of, I coin my phrase, and if I give you $1, if you give me $1 and I give you $10 back, how many $1 bills are you going to bring me? Yeah. And that's marketing. Yeah. You have to find that special mix. And what is it that you're doing on a daily basis, and how are you managing your ROI, your return on your investment? Mm-hmm. Like you said, the freeway is, and if an agent comes to me and has no money for marketing, zero money. So I'm talking to you right now, agent, right now, that you have zero money for marketing. My next question would be have you written down a list of your sphere of influence, people that you know in your neighborhood, people that the store clerk down the street that you get gas from every day that knows you by your first name, your parents, your family members, your coworkers, every single person that you know, how many times have you called them in the last year to let them know that you're in real estate and that you would appreciate a referral? And if they can't answer that question, then I'm like, then what we have is a taking action problem.
Yes.
And so we can beat that horse to death all day long, Bob, you and I.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's go. So now we're prospecting. That's the power system. So the second one is we're talking about 5. What's the second one here? How are we going to scale this mountain and like?
Next one is converting them.
Ah, yes.
Right? We've got to convert them. So what is our messaging? What are we saying? Have we practiced our scripts? Have we practiced materials and so forth to give them, to convert them to say what? Yes. To convert them to meet with you. That's the next step. That, right? Your generation, now you got to convert these people, right? You've generated them. Okay, well, why would I work with you, Sean? What is your messaging? Why? What value do you bring to me? And most people have no clue on that. None whatsoever. So I would sit down, like you said, I love that. Write down who's your sphere. Yeah. Write down what are you going to, what kind of conversion would work on you? See, that's all I did. I was new to real estate. I just thought, well, I know the conversion of giving me a magnet or seeds or tell me you're number 1 doesn't work with me. So what would work with me? And then I wrote all that down. I started testing it, and guess what? It worked. And I said, wow, that was pretty easy. That wasn't difficult. Everybody said, oh, this is just how you do it in real estate. And I think that's a mindset problem too. We get trapped, we get beat down saying, well, this is just the way you do it. Well, I don't believe in that. It would be like saying, this is the way you climb a mountain, but 9 out of 10 of the climbers die doing it this way. So keep doing it. Would you do that? No, of course not. You're like, I don't like those odds. Well, 9 out of 10 real estate agents aren't doing well. All right. But yet they keep on doing it the same way. So then we go into, the conversion. What are you doing to convert people? How are you converting them? And then the next one is that always shocked me. When I went to climb a mountain, Sean, I was very prepared. I knew which way I was going up. It was very scripted. It was very organized. It was very detailed. I knew which day I was going to be at which camp. Now, there's objective dangers that you can't predict, right? So you have to adapt to. But I had a plan. Most people, they don't. When they get a little higher up the mountain after they've converted, they have no idea what they're going to do next. So I prepare for that appointment. I have pre-appointment preparation, selling those people on, you've already made the good decision of meeting with me, but now you're going to definitely want to work with me. So the third of the power system is, we got the generation, we've got the conversion, which I saw you shaking your head. You're like, yeah, not many people do well with that. And then we have the preparation, the pre-appointment preparation. In other words, why should I work with you? Give me more details. And most of us don't. We just wing it. That's another thing I noticed talking with agents. When I ask them, is their business very structured or is it reactionary? What do you think most answer?
Oh, it's always reactionary.
Reactionary. But do you think in climbing I was reactionary?
You can't be, right?
You can't be. Exactly. What do you have to be?
I mean, you train for those reactive moments, but most of the training is probably to be proactive. That's what I tell my kids. I have a little song, be proactive, not reactive. I sing that to my kids. I'm like, you live in a world that you're proactive versus reactive. Life is so much better.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. So,
and by the way, they hate that song.
Well, not when they're older. They'll appreciate it. They'll come back and say, my kids are a little bit older. Believe me, they'll appreciate that. Yeah. They listen to in my car every day, go for no. You say, yes is a destination, but no is how you get there, right? Yeah. No can't be a harm to people. And why is that too with agents' mindset? When we're little kids and we say, can I have a cookie? No. Can I have a cookie? No. Dad, can I have a cookie? I'm going to tell your mother. Dad, please, can I have a cookie? And what do? Yeah, here you go. Yeah. Well, they went for no, and no didn't really bother them. But somewhere between when we were a child and then we become an adult, we give up on that. We were like, wow, no, oh, that means I'm a bad person. Or, oh my goodness. Yeah. It doesn't. It just means you're not the yes yet. So
and I always tell people, when someone tells you no, you just haven't built enough value to get to the yes yet.
There you go. There you go. It's all about value.
Like I teach my son, like, hey, listen, don't go for no. Just keep trying to convince me on why I should give you a yes.
Yeah.
We want to build up a little negotiator. I was thinking of something though when you were talking about this. About being prepared. I've got a good friend, Gary Wise. You know Gary Wise out in Austin?
Yep.
With the Good Life team. I love one of the things that these guys have done is their whole thing is the pre-appointment, being prepared with technology, and people aren't leveraging, the technology that they have at hand, that the things, the tools that they already have at their disposal to be more. And I know one of the big deals for you was, and I hope I'm not jumping the gun here, is this pre-listing presentation that you have, or something that you have. I just think that's so huge that every agent should have a customized pre-listing presentation and a listing presentation, because it helps them, right? I mean, I can't imagine going to a mountain, and I see those guys that do the free climbing, and I'm just using the climbing, thing because you're on the call.
That's what I did for a living. So
yeah, because I can imagine just going, like, I've seen those guys that do it with nothing, but like I don't know if you're that much of a daredevil, but me, I can imagine going and and not having any ropes or anything, and not having any of the tools that I need, because you're going to slip, right? And you need those little things, like that's so important.
Yeah, but you're not going to slip if you're prepared.
Yeah.
You're not going to slip if you're mentally prepared either, right? You get better at it. You don't just go out and hit a rock and all of a sudden you climb it. Okay, those guys like me would prepare. Maybe we've climbed that route 100 times, 200 times, 300 times. So when we get there, it's nothing for us just to walk up it, right? Like, you wouldn't think twice about walking upstairs. Okay, but that was through their preparation, right? And planning it and practicing it over and over again. You become so good that if something does slip, you have this hand on and you have your 2 feet on.
Right.
You're prepared for that. So I'm glad you said, what do you give to people? What is it? You're giving value. Everything has to be based on value to your client, because if you give the clients more value, they're going to give you what you want, which is not only their business, but everybody and their brother who they know's business as well. They're going to refer everybody over to you. So it's so important that before the appointment that I know exactly what I'm going to do, how I'm going to talk to them, what I'm going to say, what documents they've already received, what presentation I'm then going to give them as well, to ensure my success, right? Not only getting to that summit, but getting back down. So, we've generated that lead, we've converted that lead. Preparation, one of the things that's crazy, I've literally won so many listings because of this one thing that I do, and it's absolutely free and it's so easy. And it amazes me that so many agents still don't do it. When I come into a home, I say the very first thing. One is I knock 3 times every time, because I like repetitiveness. I like doing the same thing over and over again, because I get predictable results then. So I knock 3 times. They open the door. I say, "Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, it's Bob saying, are you ready to get your home sold today?" And everybody's like, "Why would you say that?" Well, I want to figure out their personality type, right? But their answer gives me a better idea of their personality, so I can then what? If they're an S, I need to stand back a little bit, right? Be a little slower. More, your family's very important. If they're a D, what am I doing? Sign right here, right?
Yeah.
So I say that, but the next move has won me so many listings, and that is a very simple one. That is, let me take my shoes off. That has won me so many listings, you wouldn't believe, where people say to me, "You got this business?" Because we had other agents in here, and none of them cared enough about our home as you did. You're the only one that took your shoes off in our home. It's as easy as that. But it's those little details. It's getting around that crevasse that most agents don't even think about.
Yeah, I guess my biggest tip for agents that are going to do that is make sure you don't have holes in your socks.
Holes in your socks, yeah.
I have a good friend. His name is Tim Davis. He always wears crazy colored socks, rainbow socks and whatnot. I'm like, yeah, just make sure you've got some really cool socks to show off.
Yeah, there you go. You definitely don't want to have holes, but that one tip. So that's all pre-appointment preparation, right? I'm preparing.
Yeah.
It's like if you were going to do a climb, what are you going to do? You're going to have your rope. You're going to have your gear already. You know what to use. Okay, so these are things. I liken it to like Batman. You remember Batman? He's surfing, and all of a sudden the shark comes up to get him. And what's he have on his belt, right? Shark repellent sprays.
He's got something.
Yeah, he has something. Well, this is my tool belt.
Yeah.
And I use the same things over and over again, like taking my shoes off. And then it comes down to what I find agents, they just don't have. But what they focus on, when they start with me, they forget about generation conversion, pre-appointment preparation. They go right to this next one, which is the presentation. That's all they care about. Oh, I have to have the presentation. Well, the presentation doesn't mean much if you didn't do these other steps first, right?
Yeah.
If you're not generating, who are you going to present to? You know, if you're not converting, who are you going to present to? So, but agents want to get right to the summit, right? Like a lot of my clients in climbing mountains, that's all they cared about was the summit. And if that's all you care about is the summit, you're never going to get there. And if you do, you'll probably die coming back down. So the next one is your presentation. You know, so many agents say to me, Sean, well, I want to move up my price range and so forth. And I heard that as an agent too. I said, well, I can make more money. You know, how do I make more money? I can charge more. Oh, don't do that. Not in this industry. Oh my goodness, you're not allowed to do that. But I've proven that wrong. Or I could raise the price of the homes. So I thought, wow, if I want better customers, I want to then talk to people I already know that can afford the kind of houses, right, that I want to sell, and talk to them about how do they like to be presented to. So the easiest way to do that is find some CEOs, CFOs, COOs, and interview them. You know, you all of us have friends or family or whatever. So I sent out 100 letters to them and asked, you know, 90 some said no to me, but a few said yes. So I was able to go and interview them, show them my, you know, what I was working on, my presentation. And what they all told me was, I would like to find a real estate agent that presents to me the same way that anybody in corporate America presents to me. That's not with, you know, papers all around like this, all disheveled, right?
Yeah.
That's very prepared. Give me the information and do a PowerPoint presentation. I was like, wow, really? Is that it? Oh yeah, that's what I'd like. So I said, well, you're the kind of customer I want, so I better give you a message that you want. So I started with the presentation. It's always on a laptop. It's always very professional. The second I open up that laptop, I've won most of my presentations. Just opening the laptop because they've never seen it before. Isn't that sad in our industry? The customers have never seen a laptop. They've never seen somebody be prepared. You know, that just amazes me. But then it gives you that mindset, like you were talking about early on, that you can do anything, that you really are the best. It's not that hard. That's the great thing about our industry and our business. It's not that hard to differentiate yourself from everybody else by just doing some very basic things, right? That's it. Pre-appointment preparation, presentation. How's your presentation? And then the fifth, you know, the kind of to get you to the summit is pricing. We've got to get paid, right? And if you build enough value to a client, then they'll pay you anything. And most of us are afraid of that. Most of us are afraid to ask for more than anybody else. But I always ask my clients when we're going through our first consultation and so forth, you know, do you think that Ferrari worries about something that can only buy a VW Bug? No, right? They're not their customer. But both cars, a Ferrari and a VW Bug, go the same way, right? A to B. Why would somebody spend $250,000 rather than $20,000? It's value. They gave more value. So if you give more value to your customer, guess what they'll do? They'll pay you more.
Yeah.
But also in pricing is not only you getting paid more, but also I found as a guide, as a mountain guide, you know, people like you and clients would look at me to guide them, right? To make sure they're safe. But in real estate, we don't do that. We don't act as guides. We let the customer decide how we price the home. We let the customer dictate what we do. And why? Because we're not prepared. So part of my fifth power system is pricing, doing the research early on so that people can't argue with your pricing.
Yeah.
If you say it's worth this much, then that's it. And you have all the proof there.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that angers me today is when I hear an agent has lowered their price point to be competitive in the marketplace, and I hate that, because what I hate to see is that, you know, 1 point on a transaction, let's say for instance 1 point over a yearly basis could be the difference between somebody filing bankruptcy or not. And that 1 point, I'm like, aren't you worth that point? If you don't find self-worth in your business, And if you're not building enough value, I think Peter Drucker says when price meets expectation, value is achieved. Their expectation is real simple. Sell my home at a great price, help me make money off this or whatever. Get it done quickly, get it done professionally. If there's a problem arise, take care of the problem. You know, right? Those little things that happen. And if you can do all that, the price doesn't matter because value has been achieved. And I'm a happy person, and I'm after the transaction, I'm going to be a raving fan, and I'm going to send you referrals and whatnot.
Because of value.
But because of the value, exactly. Not because of the gimmicks, not because of your cute little branding, not because of what you say you've done, you know, not because you sold 150 homes 5 years ago in the boom, you know. We're talking about right now. What have you done for me today? What are you going to do for me right now? And so that whole couponing mentality, the whole, oh, I'll knock off a point, or I'll do this and that, or I've got special, you know, I'll list your home for $200. That is that right there, guys. If you're doing that, or if you know agents that are doing it in your marketplace, that devalues the whole industry as a whole. So get out of that mentality, right? That goes back to finding your purpose. Get out of that mentality.
Well, just think about attorneys. The most successful attorney in your town tends to be also what? The most expensive.
Exactly.
So you know, but they show value. Why? They win. They get the house sold, right? Or they win the court case, right? So they're worth more. Well, if you can get the home sold, if you can show real value, and by the way, to show more value to a customer doesn't mean you spend more money on your listings. That's a big misconception. That's a big misconception. Okay, you could do it through very simple steps. You know, price bracketing, changing the photos out. Those very easy things that are absolutely free that no one else in your market is doing because they either one haven't thought about it or they're not prepared, right? They're not organized. So they don't know what their day looks like. So whenever you have the 5 power systems or whatever, step by step, how you're going to go about getting a listing or a buyer, you also need to think about what are you doing each day to make those happen. And I think most agents, they don't have that, Sean. They don't have, what am I going to do today? All right, it's Wednesday at this time. What am I doing? Those that do know what they're doing always do better. Would you agree?
Yeah.
They're prepared. They know what they're going to do. The agents that are just reacting, waiting for that phone to ring, or I think I'll go and do this, or you know what, it's 11:30. Those clients are probably going to lunch, so I can't call them now, right? And then 1:30 comes around, well, they just got back from lunch, so I can't call them now. Right? There's never a bad time to call people, so you need to be prepared. What are you going to do each and every day, 5 days a week? And that's another important thing. Why work? If you work 7 days a week, you're going to get burned out.
Right.
You need the time off. So I think agents, they have the tools. They're just using them the wrong way. And they're always looking for new tools. It's like they're always going to the hardware store trying to buy something new. Ooh, I got this one. I got this one. I got this one. Rather than like I do, focus on just 4 or 5 things every single day that I do in my business that's given me success.
Well, here's a real shocker, a spoiler alert. Selling real estate is not rocket science.
Thank goodness. Because if it was, I wouldn't be in it.
Yeah, I mean it's
really
not. I mean it's just fun. It's fundamentals. You know, I always say because you know I teach branding and marketing in what I do and in my consulting business, Goal Crusher. You know, we do all sorts of things as far as that relate to marketing for real estate agents, video and websites and whatnot. But, you know, when I'm talking to an agent that's looking at branding themselves and where they want to go, they're always so focused on where they want to go. And I like to speak in pictures, right? Because I'm a very visual guy. So imagine when you go to the mall and you're looking for like a store. Now, what's the first thing that you do? You go to one of those big placards. It's got the map, right? Yep. And you start looking for where the store is at. So, well, malls have several entrances, right? So, let's say the store is right here. Well, you have to find out where you're at before you know where you want to go. Most people today I'm not picking on anybody right now watching this, but most people have no clue where they're at. And they're so focused on where they're going.
Yeah.
You have to know where you're at right now. And I think that ties into your mountaineering experiences. You have to take a personal inventory of what it is that you have, the tools that you have right now, and use those first before you start going out and trying to equip yourself and trying to. It's like I hate it when I go to like a National Association of Realtors event or family reunion or all of these big fancy events that real estate organizations put on, and they've got the convention floor, right? And you're going through and it's buzzing this, lights this, oh, we can do this, we can do that. It's all of these what I call magic pills. But at the end of the day, what it boils down to is every single person knows an average of 200 people. It's a statistic that will never go away. How are you using those 200 people in your influence to move forward? Like, take a personal inventory, know where you're at right now before you start trying to get to where you need to be. And I just love that. I love that. So I want to do this real quick. I know. By the way, that's awesome. 5 power systems: simple, easy, focused, consistency. Just take action and do those things. But a lot of people right now are going, oh my goodness, the new year's upon us. Oh, I haven't done any of that stuff. They're like, all of this stuff. So we did a webinar a few weeks ago, and we're going to do a new one, right? Yep. So we're not going to run a replay or anything like that. We're going to do a brand new one. And so what I want people to do right now is I want people to go to realbees.com/5 power systems. Either it's going to be a registration page for a new webinar, or the new webinar. So it's just depending on when you're watching this, or it's going to go to register to watch an encore of that. So either way, it's realbees.com/5 power systems, where Bob and I are really going to break down. And I think what really was real cool about this webinar, Bob, is that we've got some visuals up. There's a picture of the mountain. Yeah. When I was watching that, do you ever watch the old Price is Right?
Yeah.
There's one where the little guy, the little guy doing this up the mountain. It made me think of that. But that's
we almost did that, Sean.
Yeah,
we almost did that.
I think we need to do that for our next webinar. So,
that'd be fun.
But you really kind of go back and not go back, but really dig deeper into your business, because I really want to. I think it's important to let people know that this is not pie in the sky stuff. This is actual statistics. It's actual stuff that you're doing in your business. Not only you, but your students are doing in their business as well. And I think it's important to let people know, hey, like this, we're all human here, right? We all bleed the same. We all have the same feelings and emotions. We all have the same struggles. We all have the same challenges. We all have the same enemy, right? The enemy talking in our ear, telling us we're not good enough. We need to look at that enemy and go, you know what? Get the freak out of here. I'm focused on my goals of being a successful real estate agent and empowering people and helping people. That's what we want to do. So we all have those same challenges. We're all in this together. And what I love about you, Bob, is you just have an affinity for entrepreneurs and helping them, making sure that they're doing good. So that's why we have this alignment. So
I'm guiding again.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm guiding people up the mountain. That's what I'm passionate about. I think they'll find when they come on the webinar too, it's real useful information you can use today, right now in your business. And I think one thing, whenever we learn something, whenever we see something, we just assume that immediately it's going to start working for us. That makes no sense. That would be like saying, okay, I'm going to go and lift weights today and I'm going to be as strong as anybody else. There's no way. You have to keep on working on it. You have to adapt. You have to learn. So the things that I teach, in the 5 power systems, are easy to do. I don't think anybody's ever said, well, that's too difficult. They've always said, the famous Jim Rohn quote, it's easy things to do that are the hardest things to do because they're easy not to do. Right? So the things that I teach are easy to do, but they're also easy not to do. But once you put them into place, once you learn them, you get comfortable with them, you'll start dominating very quickly.
Yeah.
But it takes action. It takes mindset, like you started this, on, this whole conversation about, one of the things was mindset. It's mindset and it's taking action. And if you do those things, then it's inevitable that you'll be successful. You just can't. Nothing can stop you. The only thing that can ever stop anybody is themselves.
Yeah.
That's it. You either think you can or think you can't. Either way, you're right. And just think about it. I climbed mountains for a living all over the world, and I'm afraid of heights. Think about that. I'm definitely afraid of heights, but yet I did something that challenged me. And once I learned to do that, I knew I could do anything there is. There was nothing that really scares me.
That's
it
good.
Scares me, but there's nothing I won't try or go and do, except for maybe bungee jump, but that's about it.
That's awesome. Well, Bob, man, I really appreciate the time you spent with us today on the show. Hey, guys, listen, I mean, here's the deal. Just do what it is that you need to be doing on a daily basis. Just do it. I mean, that's what it's all about. Bob, I really appreciate your words of wisdom. I'm looking forward to doing our webinar together, our other one that we're going to be doing here pretty soon. So guys, go to realbees.com/5powersystems right now, register for the webinar, and we'll see you guys on that webinar, and we'll go from there. So Bob, I really appreciate you. You have an awesome day.
Thank you, Sean. You too.
Awesome, and we'll be in touch soon, and we're gonna do more interviews, right? I'll have you on the show again soon.
That'd be great. I'd love it.
We'll dig deeper down into like one specific system, and
great.
we'll spill the beans on some really cool stuff.
Sounds good.
Awesome. All right, guys, well, keep watching and crush it in your business. We'll talk to you guys soon.